got this feeling, baby, we're invincible.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Rebuilding Notts County, the analysis days. Dearie me, I was hoping we wouldn't have to make this one, but since we do, I still think it's going to be slightly more truncated. I'm not going to go into so much detail as we normally do, because I actually think that there's less stuff to analyse at this point. We're really getting to the point where we know what we need to improve on. I think tactically we're better this year. There's a lot of things I've liked towards we finished the season. We didn't look quite so desperate with some of our victories. We really were able to grind through teams a lot. I think the Real Madrid thing was just sometimes players have an off day, and it's frustrating because it was so easy for them to score those goals against us, but that's just life sometimes. So we're starting with Ahmed eye touch. Sorry if I sound a bit out of breath. I've just been running up and downstairs getting drinks and stuff. So he's now considered the best player at the club, just out of nowhere, because at the end of the season. I mean, look at this. 17 goals and 13 assists. That is big numbers for a left-sided player playing for Notts County in this save. It just is. No one's even come close to that. Lever got 12 goals in a season once, and that was considered to be exemplary, but nothing on this kind of level. So I liked what we did in the final game of the season. I don't know if we can actually see tactics-wise where he's performed. I mean, you could see he's performed the best there, but he has only played one game there, so it's not really fair to say that. But I do kind of feel like if we could get him to really learn that role on the right, having a versatile player that can play on both sides would be super duper important for us. And long term, that could definitely be the approach. I don't know. What do you guys think about that one? I love him. 17. I mean, look at the record this season speaks for itself. So let's move on to other players, shall we? Next up, Paulo Asman. 6 goals this year, 2 assists in total. Played 25 matches, mostly came off the bench this season. Compared to last year, he actually played more games. Still putting some solid performances for us. It just wasn't quite to maybe the level I would have expected, but he's kind of taken a back seat this year to Becker and Dubois particularly, so that's understandable. Bonano, he's barely played, and we don't really care about him. Jordan Becker, again, he's still improving year after year after year. Still only 20 years old. Next year, obviously, he'll be the standard starting player in our midfield, along with Dubois or whoever, but I think he's not far off of overtaking Remy Dubois. This year, only got the 3 goals and 1 assist, which I think is actually a step back from last year. But he's had a better year overall, and that to me is the main factor. He may not have contributed to as many goals, but he has at least had a better season, and that's fine. Mateus Cabral, I actually think, weirdly, he's had a decent enough year. 9 goals and 8 assists in all competitions. That feels like a better response to last year. So he got 3 extra goals this year and no extra assists. A better performance overall, but still not even averaging a 7 over the full course of the year. For me, that is just not good enough for him on that right-hand side. And I think I don't know, if we could find a way to get rid of him, that would be delicious, because he's on a lot of money and he is worth a decent amount of money. So maybe we can get something for him. Maybe we can sort something out there. We just need an eye touch on the right, really. Greg Campbell, happy with his performances for the year, of course. 2 goals, 6 assists. It's not amazing, but I think he's been decent. Premier League, not so much, weirdly. But I think we'll see that he's actually still had a relatively solid season for us, and he's still an elite player, so I'm fine with that. Celso, like as usual, he's done okay for us this season, but there's some stuff about him I'm just not super keen on, and I'm not even sure what it is. I mean, he's got great heading, marking, and tackling are a little bit on the low side. But the thing is, he's 6'5" and he's not stupidly slow. That's why I've always liked Celso. But something about him. He's going to be signing a new deal. He's going to be signing a new deal, isn't he? That's going to be really difficult to get rid of in the summer. I think he's just going to have to stick and be around the squad, but I won't play him as much. Damgard, he's been on loan. It's fine. Augustin de los Santos. I think, once again, he's making the moves in the right direction. It's just, like, every year he's kind of stepping up a little bit more, but I don't really know where. I mean, the thing is, he's still rated as a very good player, and year upon year, he's just getting that little bit better each time, so maybe there is still more for him. He's going to be getting a new contract in the summer. He's not done yet. Keskin will be leaving in the summer, I think. Although I think he must have turned down a contract with someone, so that's kind of weird. Remy Dubois, I mean, he stepped up again towards the end of this season. Remember how much this guy cost us? Like, that's really important to remember. He's been here now for like 7-8 years, and he cost us like 1.2 million or something. 1.1 million from bloody PSG. And in fact, he's had his best goal-scoring season and his second best season overall for the club in general. That's kind of gone under the radar a little bit, how good Remy's been this year. 6 goals in the Premier League. For him is very, very good indeed. And he's actually phenomenal. He is a world-class playmaker. 18 passing, 18 vision, work rate, teamwork, first touch. I mean, he is, genuinely world-class, and he's not going anywhere. Eslami, this is the guy I was on about. He's not been doing loads of goals for Sheffield Wednesday, but you can see he's just creeping up on this stuff. I don't think he's going to be being a backup if we can get that other guy, but he's still done decently. Hugo Fernandez, again, he's He lacks a little bit in the defensive side of things compared to Greg Campbell, sort of, but I still think he's a very, very solid understudy, and he should be getting a new contract soon, I would imagine. Ricky Griffiths, he'll be joining the Philadelphia Union. He's finally leaving. Poor old Ricky. He's been out on loan a lot lately. Played for Bolton for the last 4 years, and I mean, to be fair, he's been a part of Bolton's championship, hopefully, promotion season. Imagine if Bolton go back to the Premier League this year. That would be so damn cool. I'd love that. Guerra, I still love the guy. I think he's great. It's crazy to me that he's only got 32 caps for Brazil, considering how good he actually is. 15 in the Premier League this year. 13 assists, which is actually, I believe, one of his best ever assists seasons. But you can see where he's really lacked has been the goals. Like 15 in the Premier League is actually his worst ever season for us over a full year, and he also played the second most games, so he definitely had a bit of a weird season. Hopefully that can be a bit of a blip and he can come back stronger. Jean Carlos, obviously absolute legend, world class for me, midfield orchestrator, love him to death. 6 goals and 8 assists this year. A little bit down on previous years, in all honesty, and maybe that's because we've shuffled the squad around a little bit and the goals are coming from slightly different positions. Who knows? Nikolai Esperson, honestly, he's finished the season on such a high, it's been unbelievable, and hopefully he can carry on like that, because I really do like him. He's not even great in the air, but he really does have great marking and tackling, and that for me is worth a lot of money. His new contract starts in the summer as well, so he'll be continuing his career with us. Juan Tierso, again, he's not really played a lot this year, and I might find a loan spell for him next year, because I think there might still be something there, but it just isn't here at the moment. Kubek, obviously, is our young keeper. Sean Lancaster, I don't know. I don't want to let him go or anything, but he's potentially being wanted by some clubs, and I might be tempted if the money was right, because I don't think he's going to get much game time for us anymore. Darren Lever, absolute legend, still just a brilliant player for us. 184 appearances for us. And this year, 6 goals and 6 assists in all comps. It's actually not as good as last year. In fairness, he's still technically had his best ever season in the Premier League, and he played a lot less games, and that I think is quite an important factor. For him to have actually, in the Premier League this season, he's actually only started 11 matches, whereas last year he started 33. So the fact that he's got 4 goals and 3 assists in that time is actually relatively impressive. So I'm not going to dismiss him yet. I think there's still more to come from Darren Lever at this squad, for whatever reason. Vitor Mercado, long term, I think there's definitely something there. He's already wanted by presumably for loans, but I think he's definitely got a place here. Malo Lakey, still here. He's been on loan at Basel, barely played for them. Brendan Milnes, 1 more year left on his contract as well, I think. It's a shame. I need to get him out on loan. We've got Luciano Pinto, first season at the club. I've been actually quite impressed with the guy, to be honest. And I wonder but his heading is so poor. It's really weird. And he's not brilliant on these either, but hey, he does what he does, and he does it well, to be honest. He's been good in virtually every competition we've played him in. Maybe he just needs more game time, to be honest. Piszczek, of course, hasn't had as much game time as I would have liked this year. I actually was surprised at how few injuries we got in our midfield. So next season, what I'm going to do is just rotate every single time for cup matches to give the likes of Piszczek at least those, because you can see he only started 1 FA Cup and 2 Carabao Cup ties and was okay when he played, but we need to see more from him next year. Rodea, his contract is up soon, no biggie. Sandoval, obviously, once he learns this role and plays there more, I'll be very, very pleased with him. And I think he, long-term, could rival Turgerson for that central attacking midfielder role. Marvin Suarez, obviously the king of goalkeepers. 218 appearances now for the club. I've never seen so much blue on one guy. He's a god. He's genuinely one of the best keepers in the world. He has to be. Brilliant lad. Rune Turgerson, obviously, with the broken ankle, has been a massive issue for him. And that might well actually allow Sandoval to overtake him as far as his importance to the team. He is going to get a new contract soon, though. I'm fairly certain of that. Tenino, again, we've got a lot of options at the centre-back situation. And I feel like it's just basically waiting for someone to step up. And I think the man is probably going to be Pinto. But we don't know yet. Kostel Trofin, it's so sad that he's going to be leaving. I wanted him to stay, but he refused. He wanted to start more games. I tried to get him to do that, but in the end, it's just not worked out. But at the end of the day, for a striker to only have 31 and 148 for us it's not great now, is it really? Acevedo, again, his trajectory is very, very solidly in an upward fashion, and that gives me a lot of pause to suggest that with the perfectionist personality, he can continue and get better and better and better in that position. And we're back to Aitash. Right, let's go check out the league stats. So team detailed, amazingly, Norwich had the most possession. We took 10 penalties and scored 8, which is basically bang on. 78% of penalties are scored, I believe, so we're almost bang on that, which is fair enough. Headers won, fairly low on that one. Headers won ratio, even lower. 99 yellow cards. Oh, dirty, dirty Nottingham teams. My goodness. 5 red cards for... Only 2 reds, though, in fairness. It's not the end of the world in that one. Attacking-wise, most goals by 12. Nice. Bournemouth scoring a lot of goals this season as well. Who are we missing here? Liverpool did not get a lot of goals this year, interestingly, but they don't concede many either. Cross completion could still do with being a little bit higher, if I'm honest, but we do complete the most crosses overall. 13 from corners this year. That's more like it. Watford need to step the game up. A couple from direct free kicks as well, which is not too bad. Indirect, reasonable. Our conceded from those will be bad, though, I feel like. Pass completion, mid-table. Passes completed, even lower, weirdly. But then again, chances created still. Look at that Palace. That's why they're doing so well. They create chances for days. And to be fair, they created 5 of those against us in the most recent game. Shots on target ratio, always nice to see that be so high. Shots on target overall, fair enough. Conversion rate, but we do have a lot of shots. We also get given a lot of fouls, it would seem. Dribbles per game, comfortably better than anyone else. Defensively, though, Liverpool are a cut above. But they've lost their ability to score goals. And I think that has to have come down to the fact that they've lost Aizmendi. His lack of impact in the team because of that injury he suffered probably is the reason Liverpool finished so poorly. Conceded from corners. 1 goal conceded from corners. Massive step up. Unfortunately, we did concede 2 direct free kicks, but this is where we really will struggle. It feels like so much more than that, but I can guess the reason for that is because it doesn't count the ones where it doesn't go straight in. So where it's ball whipped in, header, goal. But we've conceded definitely more goals from indirect free kick situations. Not as many as West Ham, though. That's ridiculous. Clean sheets, we're nearly there, but we're still not on the levels of Liverpool. We always concede a little goal here and there because we're so aggressive, particularly on this side of things here. Tackles 1, it could do a bit higher, as could that. Penalties conceded, wow, none. We've only conceded 4. Forest do concede a lot of pens, it would seem. 3rd highest attendance in the league, obviously playing at Hillsborough. We'll be moving, I don't know, I think we're still at Hillsborough next year, actually. Average attendance still very, very low. Wow, we're not selling out the stadium anymore. But I guess it is in Sheffield, so that's probably not helped in that one at all. Let's check out player stats now. Appearances, these ones aren't super important. Yellow cards, though. Jespersen does love a yellow. So we're going to need other centre-backs around just to get in the way of that, if nothing else. Man of the match was 8 for McCalmer. iTouch was actually the best for us with 5. And that's what I mean. I'm used to seeing my man Guerra on there. And he only got 2, I think, the entire season. He just took a lot of penalties. Remember, 8 of his 15 goals in the Premier League came from penalties. I mean, that is ridiculous. So that means he actually only scored 7 goals from open play this year. That's crazy. I don't even know what's happened to him to make him suddenly become so bad like that. But there you go. Distance cover per 90 minutes. Yeah, that's not super that important. Remy Dubois was actually the second highest for us in this list. So that's saying something there. Goals overall. Guerra got 15. iTouch got 14. So I guess we've actually what we've lost from Guerra, we have gained elsewhere, it would seem. But wow, look at this Lautaro Gomez of Bournemouth. He's 30 years old now. But decent record for him. So we've got to keep an eye out on this. So down go Norwich, Forest, and Leicester City. So those are the players we've got to keep an eye out on this to see if there's anyone that stands out as being particularly good. So Dave Morali, he's a oh no, he's not. He's a striker. He was considered a wonder kid. In fact, he still is. There's a lot of hype around this guy. So that's something to maybe take an eye. I'm just going to get a report on him just to see. Because I don't think he's brilliant in terms of long term, but he is still very young. So you never know on that one. Anyone else in here from one of the smaller sides? John Gay of Norwich, the striker that they got from City from many years ago, who came all the way down to Luton and now has worked his way all the way back to the Premier League, the Scottish international striker. But I don't know. I don't think we need a striker right now. That's not really where our situation should lie. This is the thing. Cabral hit 70% of his shots on target this year and somehow only scored 8 goals out of that. I dread to think how many shots on target he actually had this season. It's probably pretty bad, to be fair. Morali, again, Gay in there too. Leicester City sort of struggling with people. Walter Medina, sort of the only player that's looked decent for him, but he's a false 9. Just not the sort of thing we're looking for right now. Penalties. Guerra scored 7 out of 8, so that means he didn't actually. So he scored 8 goals that weren't from penalties. That's still not a lot, is it really? El Hadji Silla, of course, taking them for West Ham. Assists. Yuki Mochizuki, of course, the Japanese player for... He's a striker, isn't he? I swear he's a striker. Yeah, he is. He's actually ridiculously good as well. Came through at Urawa Wed. Okay, cool. Anyone else interesting on here? Fabio Damien Gallego. Oh, he's bloody inverted. And he's not even that good. Surprises me, actually, that he's got as many assists as he does. Harvey Elliott, no, not really for me. Key passes. Okay, McCalmer obviously up there. Gauthier, Dubois. It's taken a little step back, I'd have to say, to be fair. McCalmer is just phenomenal, and that's the reason he gets so many Man of the Match awards, I think. Gola's still on there for Bournemouth, but he has slipped despite them doing so well this year. There's Velasquez at Everton. He's a wide player, isn't he? Nope, no, he is not. I don't know where I got that information from. I'm going to just get a report on him, because I don't know if some of these guys would have... like clauses. Chances created overall. Guerra still created a lot of chances this year, but the rest of them, it's mostly teams toward the top. Apart from Jude Bellingham of Leicester, which is not a huge surprise, I suppose. Pass completion, Cross completion. Now, that one really bugs me. Dribbles per game. James Unger of Bournemouth. Right. Oh, aren't you interesting, my friend? Look at this. This could be an interesting one. I wonder. Look at this guy. 2 caps for England at 23. He's a winger with great crossing, dribbling, finishing, first touch, passing, technique, work rate. Decent anticipation as well. Great, virtually everything. He's incredibly quick. 6 foot tall. I tell you what, guys, this could be the guy. I'm not even joking. That could be him. Dario Santana up there too, doing bits for Burnley. Ian Lane over at... Nah, he's just not on the same level. Like, he's decent, but Unger has been outperforming everybody in this league. Only just over Guerrero, to be fair. But, like, that is a big, big move. I wonder. He could be the one. That, honestly, even if it would cost us a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. But we've got 127 million in the bank. And I feel like I'll have to structure it. But even if I have to pay like 120 million for this guy, I would probably do it just because at this point. That might be the big signing. So keep an eye out on James Unger. See if that's something we can think about. Because Bournemouth, did they actually get into the European... No, they didn't. That's super important for me. Them not getting in there probably helps us out quite dramatically. But we'll come back to that. Tackles per 90 minutes. Oh, very interesting indeed. James Unger of Bournemouth loves a tackle as well, doesn't he? Jesus, 6.41. That suggests to me that he's got good stamina because it means he's pressing a lot. And that kind of works well with the type of system we play. He could be really something. Rodrigo Pedraza of Forest? No, he's a left back. Paredo, anyone else? Victor Hugo, he's a right back. Paredes we could take a look at, I suppose. No, he just isn't that good, to be honest. Tackles-wise, tackling's decent. But they've not been relegated or anything. So they're not likely to want to sell him. No one else there really stands out to me as being particularly fantastic. Mistakes leading to a goal? No. And Pedraza's also made an awful lot of errors. Unger has as well, in fairness. But I guess it seems to come with the sort of wingers. Key tackles. Pedraza. Okay. He's at Forest. They've been relegated. He might be a reasonable option to get as a backup to Keskin. That feels like the sort of thing we could potentially do. Because he's got decent enough there, relatively alright there, decent pace, he's not the tallest, but that's fine. Good determination, reasonable mental stats. I know he's from Forest, but it'd be kind of cool to take a player from them as well, just to add insult to injury with them going down. Rob Brain is now the key header man, because Esposito didn't play as many... Actually, he didn't play that few games, he clearly didn't miss that many in the end. David Joseph of Leicester City, I assume is a centre-back. He's pretty decent as well, to be honest. Weirdly has a lot of expertise elsewhere on the pitch. Again, these are just players I'm going to get scout reports on, just to see whether there's any kind of options for us later down the line, perhaps, just so that we know where they are. We know how to get to them nice and quickly. That's sort of the plan with those guys. But I'm very interested in that guy from Bournemouth. That could be the big deal for us in this summer. Anyway, let's quickly go look at our actual squad. We'll be a bit more brief about it this time because we kind of looked at it in the last episode too, and I kind of know where I want to go. So these are all the centre-backs we've got at the club. From a concession standpoint, these two, we can't really take into account these two right now. They've not played enough minutes. They've only played like 300 minutes each. That's not fair. But Pinto, we have played enough. And you can see Pinto is definitely the best from that. And weirdly, has also got the best average rating in those games. Now, he's started 18 matches. They can't have all been against poor teams. There's definitely something there to that. He's a better interceptor as well than Jespersen, which is interesting. Tackles are solid. Makes a decent number of them, perhaps a little bit less than Jespersen, but that's fine. Passing is relatively okay. These three certainly excel at the passing. Key passes, not that bothered about that in all honesty. Headers one is a little bit low, but that's because he's not as tall as some of the others. But he still wins a decent amount compared to Jespersen, to be fair to him. He's got that added pace as well, which I really do like. We score a decent number of goals with him in the team, but actually not compared to the other guys as it happens. But we do have this excellent points per game ratio when he is in the squad. So, from a standpoint of like what to do next year, because Jespersen I feel like is the starter, and I feel like Pinto has to start alongside him. And Celso I really am going to have to start phasing out, and I think I want to give more game time next year to Vitor Mercado and to Nino, because we've got a lot of good personalities at the back and lots of potential floating around. And there's still one more guy, a Brazilian centre-back I'm looking at, that might come in as well. But I don't know what his release clause is, because I put a bid in and I didn't have him fully scouted. It said he has a release clause for domestic clubs of 73 million. But I don't know if maybe when we scout him more, we'll find that he's got one for European clubs or something too that might be cheaper. So we'll see about that. I don't know. Let's move on to fullbacks. I'm not going to mess around so much with the filters here, just so we can get through this a little bit more. But like, as you can see here, Keskin and Campbell have actually done solid jobs from the defensive standpoint, and Fernandez has actually been the worst. Keskin's been relatively good defensively compared to Acevedo this year, and maybe we've sold him a little bit short, I don't know. But like in terms of interceptions as well, like Fernandez puts in some decent numbers on that one too, but I think where it really shows is the number of goals we concede in a game versus like goals scored. And to be fair, he's done right there, but also in terms of points per game, that's really an important factor because that shows you how many games we're actually winning with these guys in the team. So Keskin wins a lot of headers too, compared to Acevedo. I mean, that's a decent amount, in fairness to him. And, like, dribbling-wise, Acevedo definitely likes to dribble. These two are slightly worse off on that one, but cross-completion is where it really matters. 12 to 11. So only slightly better. Campbell definitely does outdo Fernandez. Not by much, but enough for it to be a reasonable level. And you can see from the fact that Acevedo's got way more assists than Keskin. 4 and 6 between those two, and obviously 2 between the other two guys. So there is that. Keskin does create a good amount of chances, though. Team goals per 90 minutes with him in the team. It's weirdly, Fernandez is pretty damn solid. So weirdly, with Fernandez in the team, we concede a lot, but we also score a lot. But I think the key factor from these guys is very simply the fact that Greg Campbell and Acevedo, when they're in the team, we win more points. 0.23 and 0.31 and 0.23 compared to 0.12 and 0.08. That is over the course of a season, that is a decent gap in points. And I think that's really cannot be ignored, particularly with the amount of minutes they've got under their belts. So I think next season, I'm still happy to go with Campbell and Acevedo with Fernandez on the right. I do want to sign another left back, though, but we're looking at potentially getting that guy from Forest, so that could definitely help us. Obviously, we're looking elsewhere as well, but we will have to see about that one. So let's move on to centre mids. Now, obviously, there's quite a few players that could play in this role too, but mostly, I love how Celso can just play bloody anywhere. It's incredible. Beckhardt, Dubois, Assman, Piszczek are kind of the ones that really matter, but Piszczek, we'll keep an eye on him and see how he's done, but I'm a little concerned about that one. So interceptions-wise, Dubois, I do like what he does on that side of things. He really does like to get stuck in, but Piszczek can do it too, and that's good to see. Sorry, that's team conceded. I've got the wrong one selected. I'm an idiot. What we really should be looking for is the fact that Assman's done well here, and Beckhardt not too bad as well, which is good to see. Piszczek just isn't quite doing the defensive job for us, but he is good at the interceptions. Okay, I was right. And as is Dubois, because he's got that defensive capability. Beckhardt is definitely more of a pure attacking player, so we do have to bear that in mind. But, that being said, he's still not afraid to get stuck in compared to someone like Assman. So I've got to give him credit for that. He definitely does put himself about a little bit and makes more tackles when he's in the team. Pass completion-wise, though, Beckhardt, I mean, they're all relatively close, with Piszczek being weirdly off the pace on that one. What about Dubois with his key passes this year? Still, 3.25. Piszczek's numbers are just not as good this season, but maybe just because he's not playing the right games, too many substitute appearances, etc., etc. Beckhardt, once again, falling a little bit on the key passes. He's very much a scorer of goals rather than a provider, it would seem. And that's kind of what I want from Ahmet Salah, in fairness, so I'm not too bothered about that. But the guy can dribble. Oh boy, can the guy dribble. Even more than Assman, in fact. Quite a lot more, but I feel like Assman's mostly predominantly played as the deep line playmaker when he's played this season, so that could have had an effect. But Beckhardt's ability to drive past people is very, very useful for me. Weirdly, his assists have been very poor this year compared to basically everyone else in that position. Assman's provided some. I mean, Dubois, weirdly Dubois, despite being the playmaker that he is, has only provided 2 assists this year. Very, very strange. Turgesson does love to create assists. And weirdly, of all our central midfielders, Rune Turgesson, who plays further up, of course, has provided the most. Although I suppose Jean Carlos as well, actually. So we'll ignore that one for now. Piszczek decent on the chance creation. Not too bad. But what it comes down to for me, once again, is seeing who's best on this. They're all... Beckhardt's weirdly kind of low, actually, to be fair. Piszczek very low. So that's worth noting. Assman's done well. The Assman-Dubois partnership is not going away. They're still offering stuff for us. When Assman plays, we do quite well, but he doesn't seem to perform well himself. Then again, he's tied with Beckhardt on that one. It's given me something to think about, but I still think the Assman-Dubois-Beckhardt trio of moving those guys around with Piszczek coming in and out is still perfectly good enough for what we want to do, because Remy Dubois is a world-class player. Assman on his day can push all the way up to a 4-star player potentially, and Beckhardt, I think, will one day become that. And I feel like Piszczek, honestly, probably could do that as well. He could be an excellent player for this team, which means he could be Remy Dubois-esque, and that's what I've always kind of had in my hopes for him. So we'll now just take a little look forward into the attacking midfield side of things. And it's mainly just comparing Turgesson to, not Cabral, Jean Carlos, because Jean Carlos, I mean, who has even really else played there? Sandoval, but not enough minutes. He's the one I really do have excitement for. And I don't think we've got enough to really compare either, because Torgerson has not played enough minutes because of his major injury, really. So we can't really do much about that, but we can look at Jean Carlos at least. 55 appearances in all comps. We don't concede a lot of goals with him in the team in general. He makes a decent number of assists and tackles. His passing is solid. Key passes is very, very good, which is very, very nice indeed. Doesn't win a lot of headers, but better than a lot of the players around him. Dribbles are good. In fact, one of the best, in fact, other than Cabral, who, of course, doesn't really count here. He's definitely outperforming people like Torgerson, so that's kind of a major factor. The guy can cross, to be fair to him. 25% is pretty damn solid. Gets some assists to his name as well. Torgerson obviously has massively inflated assists, but that's because he takes corners when he's in the team. So that might well be helping that one too. But Jean Carlos, decent number of that one as well. Ricky Griffith's obviously been out alone at Bolton, so that doesn't really count. Points per game. How are we doing here? So when Jean Carlos is in the team, 0.22 and Torgerson 0.16. It's very much undeniable. However, I feel like if... That seems to only count when they start matches as well. So, because look, Sandoval played the last game, and yeah, he's not got anything on here, even though we won the game 5-2, and he provided one of the assists in that, but maybe that only counts from when they were on the pitch. I'm not entirely sure. Point is, Jean Carlos is still the man for the job. Torgerson, he's going to have to prove himself when he comes back from injury, and I'm very, very interested in what Sandoval can do. Once he's fully controlled that role, I think this will start to creep up quite dramatically. And I think he could start to give Jean Carlos a run for his money in a few years. He's got a few years to catch up, but there's definitely something there for me. So just quickly looking at the right side. So we're basically comparing Cabral with Dos Santos, because Lancaster's basically not played. And you can see that, I mean, we can see more goals with De Los Santos in the team. And he does provide a few extra passes. He's better in the air and definitely wins more headers for sure. Cross completion is basically the same for both of them, but way less assists. Like, it's only half as much in theory because of the amount of games they've played, but still. Does create a few more chances. We do score more goals than him in the team, interestingly, and he himself has actually got a slightly better goal scoring record. And to be fair, he's not... Okay, this is what really matters for me. He has not been noticeably worse in terms of the points we've gained with him in the team than Cabral, although this would suggest probably because of the 23 substitute appearances, though. It does kind of make you wonder if Cabral left, whether Augustin De Los Santos would happily play understudy to someone like James Unger. And if that was the case, I would ship off Cabral as soon as physically possible. Firstly, to make some money for the deal, but secondly, to get that wage off the budget so that we could use that in the deal too. Okay, let's quickly check the left-hand side out, because it really is just a pure comparison of eye touch versus lever, and I don't really think they can really be compared. Concession-wise, they're reasonably good. Eye touch is slightly better in the interceptions. He wins more tackles. His passing isn't as good. And he does make more key passes, though. Better in the air, because he's got that added height, I think. And look at this, it's a decent amount. Dribbles a little bit more, which is what I like to see. But also that, 23% cross completion compared to 12. That is a huge difference. But assists-wise, they've actually contributed 17 assists this season. And in addition to that, they've contributed, what? 23 goals. That's actually pretty damn good. Bear in mind, last season, we talked about this. From our wingers in total, through the entire squad, we generated 25 goals. Just the left side this season generated 23 goals. So Cabral got like, I don't know, I want to work this out actually, because I think that we've definitely taken a step in the right direction in terms of the players on those sides. So Cabral got 9 and De Los Santos got 4. So that's another 13. So we end up with 36 goals from our... We've basically got a 50% increase nearly in the number of goals generated by our wide players this season. And I feel like with someone better than Cabral there, we could genuinely make this into something incredibly special next season and just allow a sheer onslaught to get us into good positions that Guerra can hopefully put away. Because he's still got, in general, 26 goals and 17 assists in all competitions. It's still a very, very good amount of contributions to things. What's that, like 43 contributions to goals this year? That's a very, very good amount, but I do want to still see more out of him next year. 50 appearances, 26 goals. It's a goal every other game. To anyone else, that would still be considered brilliant, but I want to see more out of Jose Guerra next year. And I do wonder if bringing in that guy could be the difference that he needs to push on forward. Because when you kind of look at anyone else you compare him to, there's Lamy, who's been out on loan, of course. There's been Troffin, sort of. He scored 1 goal this year. He just hasn't had the year. Bonanno just isn't up to it. Melo Lakey. Thank God he hasn't had any serious injuries, to be honest. This is all I can say. We really do need to have... Next year, I think our strike force is going to be much better. Because Eslami will be back from his loan spell, and he will definitely be able to do a job for us in some games. But if we can sign Rincon as well, those 3 around the club will be very, very important for us. And will definitely allow us a little bit more rotation. Maybe the issue with Guerra this season was simply that he got a bit too tired. and just wasn't able to perform as the standard that he's used to. I wouldn't be entirely surprised by that, in all honesty. So I know this has been a slightly shorter video, but I felt like there was less overall analysis for us to actually do. And I feel like we're moving in the right direction still. And the area I really want to improve is that right side of the midfield. Super duper important to sort that out. Strikers wise, we've got some good options there. Centre backs, I'm pleased with the way things are going, but I want to start to turn it over to some of the youngsters to go beyond what we currently have. Maybe bring in a couple more. Left back, important as a backup, definitely. But if we've got the potential to go beyond, then great. But that right side of the midfield is really where it matters. So left back and right wing. Those are the two positions that I'm going to dump money into in the summer massively. Obviously, Rincon isn't going to cost us that much if he actually joins us. And there's no one else even interested in him, which is baffling to me. He's still playing in Colombia at the age of 20. I'm surprised no one else has picked him up. So there we go. Well done, my scouts, I suppose. So that brings us to the end of the video. At this point, I would normally give you guys a word of the day to use in a sentence. And of course, that word of the day is going to be sausage roll, because that is exactly what I'm going to go and do after I've done this. I'm going to go grab myself a nice cup of caramel latte, grab a sausage roll and get going on this summer. And frankly, if I can make both of those signings happen, this summer will be a very, very easy summer for us, as we just basically try to hang on to the rest of the squad after that. But when you're the Premier League champions, how hard can it be? So, if you've enjoyed this episode, drop a like on the video, that'd be tremendous. If you're new to the channel, subscribe as well. If you're not already following over on Twitch, do that as well. I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes at weekends as well. And I will see you guys very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun, capybara. Bye-bye.